How did you get connected with him early on, and what was involved with managing his early career?
Well, Will Smith's a good story because it had everything to do with how we built Def Jam and everything else. Although people say, oh, those are tough guys, those rappers, it was not about them being tough. It's about them being honest. Authenticity is everything, again. So Will Smith, he hates when I tell this story.
Why?
I'm going to tell it. You'll see. I mean, you know, because he's got muscles. He's Will Smith. Will Smith will knock you out. I shouldn't say that in light of his most recent thing, but in general, Will Smith is, you know, a strong guy and tough enough to protect anyone. He had a song that starts out, my eye. He said, what happened? He got punched in the eye. And if you're from the hood, and the guy is 2 feet tall or 100 or a giant, he punch you in the eye, you got to assess whether you're ready to shoot him if he's a certain guy, right? So I think he got punched in the eye by somebody from the hood over a girl. His line was, I'm going to hold my eye. It was very funny, and it was honest. And honesty was I always looked for.
Why'd Will write you a $250,000 check?
Because he's a really, really sweet man. He left me. I had a deal at Fox, and he went to NBC. And we didn't know he was negotiating. We didn't know anything. So he left. He had no contract. He said, I'm going to have to leave, you know, management and staying over here. And here's $250,000. Can you be more, I mean, to us, that was a lot of money.
Right.
My partner said, you know, he was working in the management company daily. He said that wasn't enough. But back then he knew it was a lot. And, you know, it was very generous of him and gracious and good of him to do that. I saw Will say recently we had a contract, but we were never ones to enforce contracts for management. He wanted to take a different path. And so he said he bought me out. He didn't buy me out. I let him out of the contract and he gave me the money. And that's what happened. And I'm sure James Lasseter and Will, if they would revisit it, would know that there was never a bond. He might have felt he had a contract. Some lawyer might have told him he had a contract. But our relationship with him was based on us going to work every day and enjoying the work. And so when he left, he left. And he gave me the money.
I want to run through some other people played roles at various points of your life. The first one being Rick Rubin. How about the role you think each of you played in one another's lives?
The way I met Rick Rubin, in my recollection of first recognizing him, I heard a record on the radio, commentating, illustrating, description, giving, adjective, experts, analyzing it. People at Universe, this is yours. Most amazing record. Like, oh, I called up the radio because almost every record on the radio was something I managed. I had all the hot records on the radio. Here's this record. I call up Red Alert or Jazzy J. And Jazzy J, who played the record, introduced me to Rick Rubin. So I'm at Dance Interior, and he brings me Rick Rubin. I think, where's the guy who made It's Yours? It's him. And Rick took me to his dorm at NYU and played me all these beats. And back then, we were so beat-oriented. We were B-boys, and beats were everything. And Rick had a turntable full of beats. I mean, a drum machine full of beats. And a real, you know, real good feel. I could tell from the first day. And so I was on the way to make a record deal. I had Rush Productions. I had all these successes. And Rick comes along and says, we want to start a record company. And I put, you know, $2,500, if I'm not mistaken, in. And we put out the first LL Cool J record, I Need a Beat. And that began, and I abandoned the idea of making Rush records, and Def Jam became it. It was his logo at the time.
What did working with Brian Grazer entail for you?
Brian Grazer gave me the opportunity to produce a mainstream movie. It was my idea to do Nutty Professor. I was going to do it with Martin Lawrence. I wanted to do it for about $10 million or whatever. And he said, no, let's do it with Eddie Murphy. And I met with Eddie, and who I knew, and it started there. But anyway, Brian, I didn't realize it. I was riding around in a go-kart, doing what producers do, right? And the guy from BET was interviewing me. He said, no African-American rides around in a go-kart and is producing mainstream movies, period. I mean, you could be a singer, or, you know, or you could be Eddie Murphy maybe and get a credit. as an actor, invaluable piece. But just to ride around in the go-kart, just to orchestrate, to help to read the script and rewrite the script, to help to choose the director, to help to do the branding, the marketing, to oversee the soundtrack, to be the producer. There's no black people at all. And Brian Grazian didn't realize it, or maybe he did. But he enabled me, and I'll never, be thankful enough for what he did for me, for Nutty Professor 1, and paid me for Nutty Professor 2.
Tommy Hilfiger. What do you think happened where it didn't work out in terms of folding your kind of clothing or fashion business into his company? Because there was talks of that at one point,
we talked a lot. Tommy was such a great help to me and a mentor to me in fashion. And he really wanted to do something where we partnered. But, when you have a company the size of his, you don't want to lose. If you're going from 600 million one day, the next week you look at the projections, they're 720. You can't look at a company that takes so much work to get to 10. And so his heart was there. Lawrence Stroll and some of his partners' heart wasn't there. But he did so much for me. He helped me with distribution. He helped me with find sourcing and producing the products. He gave me so much. To this day, even now, Tommy Hilfiger is using my daughter as a model and really mentoring her. So I can never be thankful enough for his presence in my life. It's been a great ride. He is a great friend.
When I say Hip Hop 50, what comes to mind?
I mean, yes, I was involved in Jay-Z and Kanye and Beastie Boys and Run DMC and all in between. And I have a commitment to Hip Hop 50 to get the DJ Hollywoods and the Eddie Chibas and Love Bug Starskys, the masterminds. Before rap was a recording art, it was a performing art. So these great performers who made it so that we could record have not gotten compensation or credit. And I want to make that my mission for this year, that I'm a part of, not only through the Hip Hop Museum, but through everything that I do regarding Hip Hop 50, that I highlight the reason that we're here, the shoulders of the masterminds of hip hop that we stand on. It was fun working on producing Run DMC, and my brother becoming a big star was a miracle and a lot of fun. And my first artist, Curtis Blow, we recorded that record. There were no rap records. So I was there from the beginning, and I've seen it. They're just not telling the proper story about the founding fathers of hip hop, or they're leaving some people out. And I think while people are still living, it's a crime not to tell the story accurately.
How do you do that?
I'll do it. I'll figure out ways. I got Snoop the other day, played Yankee Stadium. I had Snoop bring DJ Hollywood on the stage. Or Hollywood and Eddie Chiba being honored now by the Black Museum. I'm getting the messaging out that some of the guys who have been overlooked should be recognized. Explain
how you've used hip hop as a tool of education and enlightenment over the years.
Well, look, hip hop helped change all those laws, drug laws. Hip hop is a whole educational platform. There's some friends launching Hip Hop University. I'm helping them. Hip hop has, we used it in the summit. We had 10,000 people in Detroit, and Eminem was the host. In Houston was Beyonce, and all the cities, the stars. Nelly was in St. Louis. I mean, so we would have 10,000 kids come out, and we would teach people financial literacy, and we would also do anti-gang activity work with the hip hop community, and it was a fun experience. We did like 50 cities. And it was something that I was really inspired to do and lucky enough to help lead. I'm pretty old. I've been around and I've seen a lot. And hip hop has done a lot. So I've been on the ride, a carpet ride with these guys. And I'm very lucky for that.
When your career is looked back on, what would you like people to most take away from it?
Getting the 10,000 people out of jail, changing the drug laws. And God knows how many people wouldn't go to jail because those laws were changed. That was a moment that I will not forget. Other than that, just watching them all. I was watching the Bad Boys 1, and I remember managing Will Smith and launching Martin Lawrence, and I see them together. Wow. And I do that every day. I mean, all the time. You know, I watched Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac and Dave Chappelle, and the launching of these people's careers and watching them do good. It's the ripple effect. The ones that became philanthropic and political and politics for the good of the collective, you know, and the ones who really had an impact on the lives of others, I kind of secretly take a little credit for that. Like, I was there. This guy wouldn't be famous, wouldn't be able to do, you know. So something like that, you know, I watch Jay-Z, what an inspiration he is. I watch Kanye, and what a brilliant business guy he is. And, you know, Run DMC, Reverend Run the Preacher, he's still an inspiration in a lot of ways for people, you know, as a preacher, even what he puts on Instagram, how he speaks to people. LL Cool J, what he's doing now to help all the underserved. The same thing I talked about Hip Hop 50, about artists who maybe not getting enough credit for the work that they contributed to the culture. And he has that Rock the Bells, and I watched him become a big TV star. And, you know, I've seen people come from out the hood that might not have made it, that were not for the team around me and some of my efforts, they wouldn't be there, right? And there's a little bit of pride in that, a little bit of pride.